Guys, do you think we've lost the ability to learn from our mistakes? I'm asking this because I've seen a lot of things TV, movies, video games that were lambasted endlessly years ago for being poorly written for specific writing failings. But nowadays, it's considered by some at least to be a decent way to push the story along. Perhaps I'm not being very clear, so let me be more specific. Assassin's Creed Shadows and Batman v Superman. Now, you might ask, what do these two pieces of media have in common? Well, that's what I plan to explain in this video. With both of these pieces of media committed the same writing mistake, a mistake that ruined the entire narrative in a few simple steps. To lay out what that was, let me start with Batman v Superman. Obviously, the idea and central conflict of the movie is that Batman fights Superman. Pretty simple. So then the objective becomes to write a natural way for Batman and Superman to come to fight each other by the end of the movie. And to be fair, when you see the Ultimate Edition, which was just Zack Snyder's vision for the movie before Warner Bros., screwed it up even more like they always do, the movie was actually doing a pretty decent job at setting this up. Batman saw Superman at the center of the destruction of an entire city and feared his potential for further destruction if he were to turn to the dark side. Superman saw Batman as a ruthless vigilante and saw the way he conducted himself to be leading to the deaths of people that he put away, thinking that he saw himself as judge, jury, and executioner. And I know that Batman kills people in this movie, but that's not really the point. The thing was, though, that this was all being organized by Lex Luthor behind the scenes. Because of his troubled childhood, thanks to his abusive father, he hates God and therefore hates Superman for what he represents, and is basically trying to take out his hatred towards God on Superman. So, seeing as how he's clearly not strong enough to take Superman on in a straight up battle of strength, he decides to pit Superman and Batman against each other in order to accomplish his goal. He then does this by using misinformation to turn them against each other. He makes Superman look like he doesn't care about controlling himself for his strength, killing guys willy-nilly. And he makes it look like Batman uses his brand that he puts on guys for some reason in this movie to get guys killed when they go to prison. Both of them are seeing what they think is the aftermath of each other's recklessness. These things keep happening naturally and continue to ratchet up the tension between the two. And they almost got it. But then, basically, and I don't know why, because his plan was mostly working, Lex Luthor decides to kidnap Superman's mom and forces him to fight Batman. Then, when Superman goes to Batman to try to explain to him what's going on, Batman doesn't listen and they have their showdown, which, to be fair, it's a pretty cool showdown. But then, again, right when Superman is about to be taken out by Batman, Superman says his mother's name,
You're letting him kill Martha.
which just happens to be the same name as Batman's mom's name. So Batman drops his quest to kill Superman immediately. Yes, that's actually what happens. And I know there is a way you could explain it, sort of by saying Batman finally realized that Superman wasn't just a scary alien, but a person, or some other excuse, but let's be real. This is not a natural way to end this conflict. Not only is Batman believing that Superman did these things immediately without even investigating it for himself, uncharacteristic of Batman, but also acting in such an emotionally driven way is also completely uncharacteristic of Batman. They also completely threw out the buildup that they were achieving through Lex's manipulation. It had something going for a second there, but they threw it away for something easier, a scapegoat. Now, let's look at what AC's Shadows did. In AC's Shadows, the main protagonist is called Naoe. And yeah, I know that Yasuke is there, but I think Naoe is more of the focus of the story, especially since you don't play as Yasuke for like 10 hours after the very beginning of the game. Basically, Naoe lives in a village where I guess her culture is rooted in the assassin's history or whatever. Like, I couldn't really figure it out myself from the time I played it. And her village is attacked by Yasuke's mentor. And Yasuke obviously helps, seeing as how he's basically his pupil. Long story short, they pretty much kill everyone in Naoe's village. Her friends, her family, and her dad does later die as well. Not necessarily by these two, though. So, seeing as how she saw the people who killed her father here, and the people who were involved in the destruction of her village here, She sees them as being connected and sets out to kill each and every person involved in the destruction of her village and her friends and family. And supposedly, her judgment is clouded by her need for revenge, but it's not really very well thought out. This, in theory, should create an interesting speed bump on Naoe and Yasuke's road to becoming allies. And the concept is interesting enough, even if it has been done in almost every single other Assassin's Creed game. You see that Yasuke is reluctant to do these things, allowing us to be sympathetic towards him, seeing as what he really wants is to do good. We also understand Naoe's desire for revenge and can support her quest to obtain it. As Naoe gets closer to her targets, she also gets closer to Yasuke, which brings them closer to conflict. At a certain point, Naoe reaches Yasuke's master because she believes that he is the one that is the ringleader over the group that was involved with the destruction of her village and the death of her father, obviously. And so, of course, she wants to destroy him. And she basically does. But then Yasuke sees that she's an assassin while he's trying to defend him. And based on his own prior history with the assassins, he decides to seek her out to request that he can join her cause, regardless of what happens. Oh, yeah, and, his master dies, by the way. After this, when Naoe's base is attacked, Yasuke takes out the guys doing it and goes before Naoe in order to offer his allegiance and tells her the truth. Which just means he tells her that he was one of the main ones involved in the destruction of her village and the death of her friends, basically. So obviously, she wants him to die for his crimes too. So you'd ask yourself, how's it going to go from this to them working together? How is Yasuke going to be able to get out of this one? Well, the answer, unfortunately, lies with this freaking kid. He basically says that Naoe can't kill him because Naoe killed his dad and he forgave her. So she has to forgive Yasuke or he'll have to kill her too. Yeah, basically, earlier in the narrative, Naoe's father sends her to get the J.J. Abrams mystery box from an assassin's tomb or whatever. And when she goes to get it, this guy shows up, steals the box, and smacks her in the face with his club, almost killing her. After she recovers, she goes to get the box back from this guy, kills him, and tries to take the box back, but she obviously fails. It turns out that the guy she killed to get the box was in fact this boy's father, and seeing as how this boy is a dear friend to her, she decides not to kill Yasuke because she feels bad. That's kind of bad, but you know what the worst part is though? Now it completely drops any bad feelings towards Yasuke. After this point, there isn't a single bit of lingering anger, any unease between Yasuke and Naoe. She just immediately drops it after this occurrence and decides to trust him. Heck, she even starts becoming real chummy with him, laughing with him, and even venerating him, talking about how much of a good person he is.
安家が加わってくれて大層心強い。
Not that I necessarily disagree. He seems like a honest, wholesome person. Well, mostly wholesome, if you know what I'm saying. You'd think that this occurrence would change Naoe's outlook on the people she assassinates, or make her possibly even have second thoughts about her revenge quest. But no, it doesn't change the rest of her quest in any way. After this, you think she'd be more careful with just killing people. But this moment with this kid changes nothing about how she feels about the rest of the assassinations. It is never brought up again, even as a momentary doubt. This event happens purely for the purpose of saving Yasuke and forcing these two to work together. Once again, they had something kind of going, although admittedly not quite as good or as worked on as the conflict between Batman and Superman, but still posing the same intriguing question. How will they overcome this obstacle to their friendship and or camaraderie? And once again, a third party is interjected in order to resolve the conflict for our protagonists and rob them of their agency. Although, at least in the case of Shadows, they didn't interject twice like Batman v Superman did. And I know, technically, they did choose to spare them. But did they really have a choice in the matter? They're both supposed to be kind people to their core, caring about the little guy and the oppressed. So, as mostly morally just people, they're basically forced to spare these people. It may seem like they have a choice, but the writers have written them into a corner so that in terms of their character, they really don't have a choice. It just seems like the writers for both of these media products either didn't know how to write a natural and satisfying conclusion, to the conflict that they started between these characters, or they just didn't have the time to write one. That, or the writers just couldn't agree on how to do it. Whatever the case, this ruined the entire setup before these points and really ruined the narrative after this because in both products, it basically just deflates into nonsense or boring slogs after this. Why did they have to do things this way? Why couldn't Lex Luthor just have let his plan go to its conclusion, seeing as Batman wasn't investigating anything? I mean, I know that there was things that were happening that were kind of working against his plan and Superman was being redeemed in the eyes of the public kind of, but I feel like he could have done something else other than forcing their hand. And with Assassin's Creed Shadows, why didn't Naoe have to overcome her anger towards Yasuke? Why didn't she have to overcome the anger and hatred that she felt just before whatever this kid's name is opened his mouth? So she accidentally killed this kid's father. And now, for no reason, he's saying that she has to trust this person that she doesn't even know. He doesn't even know if Yasuke is telling the truth. Should she offer this opportunity to every guy that gives this story then? What? So this kid has to learn to forgive her. They couldn't at least have her mirror his journey of learning forgiveness for herself. Did they just forget? They could have had something happen in the moment that she was about to kill him that causes Naoe to leave after something more important, or just have Yasuke escape. And then have her learn stuff about Yasuke that allows her to reluctantly accept his offer the next time that she sees him. They could have shown her as being hostile, hateful, and unaccepting of him at first until she learns to forgive him, till she learns who he is. Not only did they throw a wrench in the development of their relationship before it even got a chance to finish, but they completely threw out any potential that the relationship would have had after this. In Batman v Superman's case, they had a chance to show how men can put aside their differences for a better cause and how misinformation can be dispelled with meaningful diplomacy. But instead, they took a shortcut with the biggest of coincidences: plot advancing extortion and their mothers having the same name. And again, couldn't he have just thought that Superman was lying? He doesn't know Superman is the wholesome and honest person that we all know from the comics. He was buying into the false narratives around him, and yet he just drops his quest for blood immediately. And then, somehow, after 10 years, Assassin's Creed Shadow made the exact same writing mistake. How? Assassin's Creed Shadows didn't write themselves into a corner as much as Batman v Superman did. With Batman v Superman, it's almost difficult to think of a realistic way that the conflict could stop, especially when Batman is literally about to take him out, considering Superman's otherworldly strength. But in Assassin's Creed Shadows, I could think of 5 different ways at least, and they could have done it better. A few of which I've already given in this video. And I'm not a writer, obviously, so I don't know all the things about writing, all the things that they should do, all this crap. I'm just saying I can think of different scenarios that could cause for their relationship to change much more naturally than the very forced way that it does. It's very disappointing because I honestly think that both of these pieces of media had something going for themselves. Some message that they could have gotten across, something they could have said if they would have just put in the time and thought necessary. But in the end, they took the easy way out to escape from the very rut that they wrote for themselves. It's a weird and uncommon, at least from what I've seen, writing trope that has somehow repeated itself after almost 10 years in order to ruin another completely different piece of media. I still can't tell if it's lack of talent, lack of time, or if there's simply too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. Either way, the damage is done. And for any writers out there, make sure you don't make the same mistake because it will ruin your narrative. Thanks for watching, you guys. Let me guys know what you think about this. Make sure you subscribe for more random videos like this one. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.